Hi, I'm Ian from Business Growth West Midlands, and this is the Growth Room podcast, where we share strategies, stories, and support to help West Midlands businesses grow. So we're here to have conversations with founders, leaders, and advisors who know what it takes to get businesses past that startup stage. And we'll be talking about key themes like revenue growth, recruitment, hiring, and innovation, everything that a business needs to scale at pace. So this podcast is about what happens after businesses start, their challenges and their successes. Business Growth West Midlands is your no-cost support service for all businesses from pre-start, startup to growth. We offer a range of business support, including investment support, export support, marketing, energy advice, and almost anything you can think of to help your business grow.
So here we are on episode 2 of the Growth Room podcast, and I'm delighted to be able to welcome Rowan Crozier MBE from Brandauer, and one of Birmingham's most successful and long-established engineering companies. So, Rowan, really interested to hear a little bit about yourself and how you became the CEO of Brandauer.
Yeah, morning. I'm thrilled to be here. 16 years ago, through the Birmingham Chamber, I met the previous managing director of Brandauer at a networking event, and he dropped out that he'd got a role as a director at Brandauer with a view to a succession plan for MD. And he didn't really need to say too much more. I had a couple of interviews and went to visit the factory, and I fell in love with it. For heritage, professionalism, reputation, and they were very forward thinking for what might be perceived as a traditional metal bashing company. So I joined the business roughly 6 months later and worked my way through a number of different positions. And 10 years ago, I got the opportunity to become chief exec when Dave retired. Business is strong, challenging environment we're in at the minute, but we're doing really well.
That's brilliant. And I know that the having made such a success of the company, you've also acquired a lot of awards and responsibilities. So, for instance, you're a UK export champion, an honorary doctorate. How has that kind of influenced your path?
Well, it's really nice to be acknowledged for your successes, but I have to say the stuff I do at the company and outside of it is for the betterment of the region as well as Brandauer and the people that work there. But I have to say some of the stuff I've been acknowledged with in the last couple of years has been, has knocked me for six. I didn't expect any of it really, but I engage with Birmingham City University. I engage with the Department of Business and Trade and other charities and other sort of networks and steering groups purely so that we can work together to make the region stronger, really. And that can only be good for Brandauer as a business.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a very progressive attitude. And I know that also Brandauer has been heavily engaged with a lot of business support over the years as well. Just talking a little bit about the company, what exactly is it that you do, and how have you changed that kind of heritage model into a modern business?
Wow, how long have we got? So the business was founded 163 years ago, roughly, manufacturing dipping ink pen nibs. So what are they? They're thin bits of metal stamped into a shape with a pointed tip to write with. And that's all the company did for about 50 to 60 years. Went through 2 world wars, obviously took a pause making pen nibs and started supporting the war effort. But they've been founded and manufacturing in Birmingham around half a mile from this spot through their entire history. So they've only had one factory move in that time, and we're now currently at the second factory manufacturing a whole lot of other things. So we've moved from making precision stamped pen nibs to making anything metal that's high volume. But that's supported by not just the stamping side of it, which is part of the operation, is actually the tooling side of it. So we have to create a complex progression tool that actually does that stamping. And we have that capability to design, manufacture, assemble, debug in-house. And the business has now grown over the past 5 to 10 years to require a lot more capacity for making tools. So I now have a second facility over in Aldridge, which is about 30 minutes away from here, that's just dedicated to building new tools. So I've now got 2 sites. So we've gone from, there's a saying that they created for our 150th birthday. It was from pen nibs to particle physics. And I always quite like that, because we supply components to the Large Hadron Collider that helped create the God particle. So we're doing our bit for particle physics. That's where my knowledge of that.
I was going to say, expose on.
I'm not a physicist. I'm a mechanical engineer. But what's been probably the fundamental thing that's driven the success of Brandauer is the diversity of work that it does. It was very, very focused on just doing one thing when it was founded. Now we're supplying 26 different countries worldwide across 10, maybe 12 different sectors. Some are quite big for us. Others are more embryonic and new, but that's where we always start with everything. That diversity in both geography and sectors that we provide keep us fit, keep us strong. So when pandemics hit or wars start, or we tend to find ourselves, I wouldn't say bulletproof to that, but we're quite robust in terms of things happening that are probably beyond our control. So diversity is how we've changed the business, and we maintain it, monitor it, and keep going for it, because it keeps us safe.
And with really anchored roots as well, which I'm sure have helped over the years. So we're focusing on export today, and obviously you've just touched on how diverse your offer is and how many countries you're in. How do you pick a target market?
So I often get asked this question: how does Brandauer become a 75% export business? We won the Queen's Award 5 years ago for international trade in recognition of that, and it's nothing fancy. It's fairly common sense. We tend to take a customer that's based in the UK, but they're blue chip, they've got a global footprint already. We nail that relationship and prove ourselves with some UK supply, and then we tend to grow with the customer. So they'll then either say, right, you're selling that to the UK division, we're now going to roll that out to, North America or Asia or somewhere like that. And it tends to grow from there. Start with customers that trust you and know you, and you're trading with on a non-export basis, and grow from there. That's where we started our real export sort of conquest. It's now evolved quite a lot. We've widened our strategy. So 10 years ago, when I took over as MD at Brandauer, we were winning business very traditionally with face-to-face sales. So I had 2 agents, I had 3 business development managers, and I had 1 cost estimator. So I had quite a big sales team for a relatively small company. And we had a great website, but I got literally 0 inquiries through the website. Fast forward to today, huge amount of investment and support, funded support, regional funding support. We've been able to change those numbers completely. So there's now 1 full-time salesman, 1 digital marketing officer, and about a quarter of me, and we are the sales team now. And around 80% of our inquiries come through the website, and we get a different country every week. And it's just changed the way that the reach we've now got in terms of telling people what we do, what we're good at, bringing that story to life, trying not to market it traditionally, but market it through case studies and activities that demonstrate what partnerships we have with clients that are overseas. That's been a game changer. And we're now winning business. I've just won my first contract in Poland. We've just won a large contract in the US. That's in the shadow of Trump politics and tariffs. And then I've just won a major OEM contract for Ford Motor Company, which again is slightly different from the norm. It's engineering and tool making that we're actually providing to Ford Motor Company. But again, it's new revenue streams for us with new customers who are global.
And you touched briefly on this, Rowan, but I know that you would acknowledge that there's been a huge amount of support around you for that, both inside the company but also outside the company. So you work with Business Growth West Midlands now for a number of years, access to a number of programs. Is there any highlights that you'd like to mention?
You're right. So as an SME, as a small to medium-sized enterprise with his heart in Birmingham, we have a limited budget to spend. I could spend loads of money reinventing everything that we do, and every piece of support that we can get is gratefully received. And we go through periods, depending on governments, of deeper pockets and perhaps less deep pockets, but the consistent has been regional funding support. And we've worked tirelessly to try and secure that. A couple of good examples I touched on a moment ago about our evolution of our digital marketing, and we access some direct support in relation to that, both in terms of training and awareness, but also in terms of actual funding support to deploy and build a strategic plan that helped to deliver this stark change in receiving inquiries differently. And both of those have come through the West Midlands Combined Authority route.
That's great. And so at Business Growth West Midlands, we've worked hard to try and build relationships with the right companies in the area. So I know you've got quite a good relationship with your account manager, James. Hopefully he's been a gateway to good things for you and the company.
I've only got good things to say about James Roberts. He's been an absolute vital part, I suppose, almost an extension of my team. And why do I say that? Well, I've been quite vocal about it's not necessarily whether the funding is there, because usually you can find some. It's actually finding the right funding and support that you need to deliver the strategy that you've got as a small business owner. And there's never been a conduit for that. And I've been quite passionate about saying, well, why can't we have a central location for finding the right support for small business? And that's exactly what James has done. He's that conduit. So very often, before I know there's some funding available, he's on the phone to me or drops me an email saying, oh, we've got this new funding stream that's available and it might be useful for Brandauer. Have a look at it. And if you are, get an expression of interest in early, because it hasn't quite gone live yet, but it's about to. It's that sort of proactivity that drives benefits for our business and ultimately then for the region as we grow.
Yeah. That's good to hear. And where do you see your sort of growth coming now in the future?
Well, rather excitingly, we've talked a lot about the heritage with Brandauer. So the company, as I say, is about to celebrate its 164th birthday, and I've had the privilege of being able to deliver a management buyout very recently. So we only completed in mid-September. So there's now 3 people who are actively and were actively working in the business that now own it. And what an honour to be able to take a business of the heritage that Brandauer has got and really take that forward for the next chapter. And we're all very agreed. We've just written a 10-year business plan, which we had to get the funding from HSBC, another Midlands-based bank. And it's very focused on us improving our working capital, because we've got debts and interest payments to make to pay back the funding that we've had to buy the business. But then beyond that, it's about investment in products and equipment that make our business even more efficient. So digital infrastructure, equipment like power presses or wire EDM machines that are more efficient in terms of their energy usage, but also in terms of their capability to be able to reset production jobs quicker. And then the final element is to continue the growth journey we're on with new customers. And it's not really much change from what we've already talked about. We want to continue growing in markets that are reasonably safe and not seasonal, but also diversify at the same time as we're doing it. So I've talked about geographical diversification, I've talked about sector, but there's a more important one now as well, or an additional important one called in technology terms. And we're in an environment where technology is rapidly changing all the time. So, you know, whether that's the adoption of electrification, we talk about a lot with electric vehicles, but there's a whole lot more electrification going on in the marketplace that will take multiple different types of products and processes that we're, as an engineering company, capable of supporting with. And then there's stuff we don't know about that's going on. So there's a huge amount of R&D going on in battery storage, you know, electric storage, battery technology, way savings, all of these types of technologies that our business lends itself to supporting. It's being in that sort of technological advanced manufacturing arena that means we'll find the next capability or build a new capability from something that's similar but not the same as what we do already. Hey, pen nibs to, you know, components for hydrogen fuel cells. It's very different, but what is it? Thin gauge materials, 0.1 millimeters thick, being stamped through a high-speed progression tool, being picked and placed, maybe built into some more added value assembly that we then provide on to our clients and customers. That, in a nutshell, is what we do really well, and we want to do more of as we continue to grow.
Fantastic story. And just really interested in that management buyout, because obviously 2 centuries of heritage taking on the custodianship of that. How has that changed, if it has, your perspective or the way the business is run?
It's interesting, isn't it? I've had this question quite a lot, as you can imagine, in the last month or so, and it doesn't feel any different. I always run the business like it was my own. I didn't have any shares in it prior to the MBO, but I've always done that. There is a little bit more pressure and burden on me because I've you know, our fourth shareholder is the bank, but nonetheless, I feel, I mean, yeah, what an opportunity, and I see it as that. And you know, I keep saying to the guys in my team, my other shareholders, we've got you know, an honour and an opportunity here to really do something special with a business that's already very special. So I don't feel hugely different. I feel quite excited about some of the prospects and the bricks and mortar, and more importantly, the people that we've handpicked and developed through 12, 15 years of an apprenticeship scheme. 4 of the guys that have come through that are on my senior management team. It's building those acorns and those foundations that we've put in to make us even better and even bigger. So yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled to have the opportunity. A little story which is really, really interesting and fun. I've done in my time probably 4 or 5 team briefs to the entire factory every year for 16 years. And the day we completed the MBO, I got the whole team together. We successfully kept it a secret, which was surprising but necessary because it's a massive distraction. Didn't want the staff being distracted by uncertainty around who might not own the business. I got them together that day, and it went from, oh God, the company's been for sale, and oh great, you know, Rowan and Stuart have bought the business. And it's the first time I've ever had a standing ovation at a team brief to the team. They were great, and we've had huge support and from both our current employees, but some of the sort of alumni who've worked there before, as well as all my customers and suppliers. So it was a little, you know, it was a bit unnerving to know how people might respond, but it's been a massive response, really positive. So We're backing ourselves, and it's an exciting time for us. But we've got all the support we could ever wish for and more.
Well, it sounds like the employees think they're in safe hands, which is a good sign, isn't it?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. And so just thinking about your journey, is there any advice that you would give other businesses around accessing support or taking their first export steps?
We deal with those two sort of separately. In terms of accessing support, I think it's about networking really hard. There are some sort of clever network pointers that I would say definitely go to. So find your growth manager first of all in your region. James is, as I said, that conduit for telling you where the support is coming, hopefully before it's come. Second one is we do a lot of networking with Make UK, who are the Engineering Employers Federation. Again, they're a national membership body for manufacturers and people who make stuff, hence the name. The number of tips and I've had about potential pots of funding or potential support, or even a like-minded manufacturer that's done something already. I've found that out by being actively engaged with that network group. And then the third bit around sort of all of that is academic engagement. So work with your regional universities. We've got a huge presence working with Birmingham City University, Aston University, Birmingham University, and Warwick Manufacturing Group. All three are at the forefront of new technology piece, and also generally have got their ears to the ground with appropriate support and funding for SME businesses. So they're it's all network related, but sadly that's what you've got to do. You've got to spread yourself around a much wider remit. The second point you asked is about exporting tips. I've already touched on one, which is to try and work with a client you've got already, and grow with them. If that's not possible, then I would absolutely say find your trade advisor. I don't know what they're called now, but basically the DBT will have a local trade advisor. If you've got a good one, then they will certainly be able to steer and support you with some of those early stage sort of strategies that you're coming up with of where you want to go in terms of overseas export. And again, it comes back to properly engaging. So spend the time to learn the market before you go and attack it. That might mean spending some money. That might mean spending some time, which not all SMEs have, to go and understand what it is you're trying to achieve, and widen your network to people who can give you advice on how to achieve it. So yeah, those would be my top tips really.
Thanks, Rowan. And it's good to know that of all of the things that are out there, you've been able to access much of it through that central point, that Business Growth West Midlands support. Maybe just another couple of topics. So you've talked a little bit about bringing a team together, bringing them on, adapting them their skills for a new world. Any lessons that you've learned there?
It's a bit like the networking thing. You only get out what you put in. So you've got to work hard at it. So in terms of the apprenticeship scheme, when I joined Brandauer, they just cancelled the scheme because they kept getting young people come into roles for whatever reason. Some of it was the company's responsibility, some of it wasn't, but they're not a good fit. They'd peter out. The good ones would get poached by the bigger companies in the region. Some of the OEMs that we've got here are much bigger employers than we could ever be, so it's quite difficult as a small business to compete against them. So of course you'd spend time, effort, money training somebody, waiting for them to add value, and then they would leave. And all of that culminated in, right, we're not doing it anymore because it doesn't work. And I didn't accept that. I pushed quite hard for us to review how we recruit people, particularly apprentices at the time, how we look after them, nurture them, who we partner with to deliver those apprenticeships is quite vital. And then how we monitor their progress through their their journey of learning and coming into the workplace, bearing in mind they tend to join us at about 16, and they're not, I would say, fully adding value until they're sort of 21, 22. So we completely reinvented that whole process and journey for them. And it took 5 years from sort of saying, we are going to do it. We're going to keep a minimum of 10 in the business at any one time. Bearing in mind, I only employ 65 at the moment. And I've currently got 13 apprentices. So, we're getting towards 20% of my employees are apprentices, which again is a balance. You can't have too many because it becomes unmanageable to look after them properly. But too few and you don't get out the other end of it what you're expecting. So it was a real sort of completely reinvent how we deliver our apprentices through a scheme that's flexible and supportive for them, but delivers the goods to us as a business. If I hadn't have done that, we would not have a business today. I can quite frankly say that we've brought through our conversion rate's about 65% now from zero, and I'll take that. The biggest loss is when somebody leaves but doesn't stay in manufacturing, and I have zero of that. I used to get people going off to pull pints in pubs, and I'm not saying that's not a job people should do, absolutely not saying that, but we've invested sort of 3 years of effort as of they to not practice what we've been teaching them. That's a travesty. So that's the bit we've been sort of really trying to focus on. So at least the sector and the region get value from, if we don't directly, the sector and region do, if that makes sense. And hopefully I might pinch a few of theirs over the next sort of 5 to 10 years. And as I said, 50% of my management team we've now homegrown. I've got several others working in the business as team leaders or setters or tool makers who didn't want to be managers. You can't have everyone as managers. So it's been a nice blend, and we continue to do that. And I've got 2 now that have actually come through, right through to doing a degree part-time, which we funded as a business. And they've done day release in addition to quite a hefty day job that they've got as well. And they've successfully come with both of them with first-class honours degrees in mechanical engineering. So, it does work, and it's made the business a lot better. And that people side of it has been vital to us, our continued success.
That's a great lesson. And how do you keep your skills updated for this rapidly changing world?
That's a good question. Do you know the best piece of training I ever had? And I suppose it was 2 or 3 years ago now. I was suggested by my chairman, who was my boss at the time, to have a mentor. And at the time, what was I? I was 45. And I thought, what do I need a mentor for at 45? But I thought, and I'm always quite susceptible to, I go away and think about stuff, no matter how much of a shock it was or how much I think, is that a good idea? I go away think, and I thought, well, no, let's give it a go. And I had a 2-year one-to-one mentor, and we spoke once a week on the phone. We met once a month for 3 hours. And I can honestly say it was the best piece of training journey I've had ever. And I've done some stuff. And what did he do? He helped me. He helped me by not giving me the answers, if that makes sense. So it's quite frustrating because he never told me how to resolve a problem. He told me, he helped me to work out ways that on tools that would help me to, resolve the problem. And as I say, we're now really good friends. We stopped that program. It was a really good piece of support for me at a time when the business was getting quite complex. There was a lot of changes going on. I was in the process of shaping a new team. Lots of stuff happening. And for me, that was the best piece of training I've ever had. On an ongoing basis, I tend to do ad hoc stuff like that now, where it, really will add the most value.
Yeah.
But I tend to invest my time in trying to do the same for other people now. So we have worked together on a program called reimagining engineering. And from next year, October next year, there'll be a new programme that splits the degree delivery into 3 very different things. And one of those is life skills. It's delivered in a different way. It's a big, complex project that has taken 2 years to get to this point. It's now approved, and the degree output should deliver good graduates technically, but also employable ones. It's those softer skills that perhaps graduates don't get access to. I think there's a bit of a hangover from COVID and things like that that's pushed lots of online learning and stuff, which doesn't, we're people talk to people, and I think those are the skills that probably need a bit more effort and support from the universities and the employers to do. So yeah, they're the sorts of things I get involved with now to expand my learning. I hopefully add back as well, give back a bit.
Definitely, sounds like it. So Brandauer seems to be certainly leading the way in terms of highlighting the opportunities that are available in the manufacturing sector, particularly to young people, which I think is incredibly important in the current environment. So thanks for that, Rowan. Absolutely fascinating backstory, huge amounts of heritage, but a really positive future as well. Any final thought for our audience, particularly businesses that may be looking to grow?
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely sort of engage with your network, in particular your Business Growth West Midlands growth manager. Go on the website, look it up, engage with them, and they'll start helping you as they've helped me. From a Brandauer perspective, call to action for some of your viewers or listeners, go and look on our website. It's amazing what information is in there. We're trying to recruit, as we speak today, 3 or 4 people. We want young, inquisitive engineers to come and build the little things that make the big things work. So yeah, go and have a look at our website, www.brandauer.co.uk.
Fabulous, thank you.
For more information about any of the opportunities or events we've talked about today, please see the website at businessgrowthwestmidlands.org.uk or follow us on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, which is @BizGrowthWM.